Azerbaijan is known for its oil fields, but that's not the only thing heating up at the moment. There's also a disco inferno. I'm here in the capital of Azerbaijan, Baku, and I'm standing outside the Knees Up Disco. To locals, the place is something of legend. It opened up in 1986 at the height of the Soviet policy of glasnost and perestroika. This allowed small business owners to open up their own facilities, catering for the needs of a people long deprived of Western pleasures such as Boney M, Janet Jackson, and Tiffany, famous for American shopping mall concerts. But here in Baku, Queen were one of the very favourite bands, so much so that a poster of lead singer Freddie Mercury continues to hang in the disco prominently by the man's lavatory. But it's not actually a photograph of Freddie Mercury. It's a photograph of another famed mustachioed 1980s charismatic man. It's a photograph of Saddam Hussein. In the 1980s, many popular Western records could only be secured through a black market, and many times the black marketeers would not have access to the original album cover art or posters that accompanied the popular albums. Here at the Knees Up Disco, it's less about gassing the Kurds and invading the Islamic Republic of Iran, so much as it's about Another One Bites the Dust, Bicycle Race, and of course, Bohemian Rhapsody. Mr. Alirov, who owns the nightclub, explained that even though in the 1980s he didn't realize that Saddam Hussein was not Freddie Mercury, he's decided to keep the poster because after all these years it's become something familiar and calming, not the frequent expressions that are used to describe a photograph praising Saddam Hussein. You're listening to the Global News Service. Tonight is Men Without Hats Night, a night where the 12-inch single Safety Dance plays continuously for over 6 hours. No drugs are needed to enjoy this Canadian hit, just the cheap vodka that can remove the palate of one's mouth with just 3 sips if you're uninitiated. I skipped the vodka on this visit to the Knees Up Disco, and instead I admired the various artwork of the bands above. Bands like Lynyrd Skynyrd, the Rolling Stones, and of course the Beatles. There's a wide variety of what we now call older hits from the Western canon that continue to fill the discos here in Azerbaijan every Thursday night through Monday morning. But the mysterious, if not alluring, photo of Saddam continues to cause controversy. The movement for Iraqi reconciliation has written to the Azeri embassy, asking that they make the nightclub remove the photo and replace it with a less offensive one of Freddie Mercury on the Live Aid stage at 1985. But both the Azeri government and the owner of the disco remains firm. For him, it's not about celebrating people being disappeared in the night before their body parts are sent one by one in a bag to their grieving wives. Here, it's all about celebrating what those in the Soviet Union during the era of glasnost thought was a band that came out of West London with such hits as Mother Father, Who Wants to Live Forever, and The Show Must Go On. Here in Azerbaijan, the show must go on indeed, even though Saddam Hussein has been dead for over 10 years, after his head was severed from his body before a Shia gang that executed him after he was tried in the wake of the American and British invasion of Iraq. There will be no resting in peace for Saddam Hussein, but there'll be plenty of disco dancing right here in Baku. This is Jonathan Gilbert, live in the Azeri capital for the Global News Service.